Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to IBMF's VetNet webinars. I hope you and all your family members had a great holidays, and I hope everybody's doing well. So today, in partnership with Hire Heroes USA, we are happy to bring you a first VetNet session for this year is Jumpstart Your 2021 Employment Search. And today, you'll be hearing from our employers personally, and some of the employers that we have with us on today's panel are Altimeter Solutions and Brooksource, as well as Serving Spouse Program Manager from Hire Heroes USA. My name is Elvis Avdic, and I'm Post-Program Support Service Advisor here at the IBMF. The Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse University is higher education's institute that is focused on advancing the lives of the nation's military veterans and their families through programs in career, vocations, and entrepreneurship education and trainings. So if you want more information about us and what we do that you think can help you or somebody that you know, please visit us at ibmf.syr.edu. I, along with the rest of the IBMF Alumni Services team, assist graduates across IBMF programs with resources and networking connections. That's why we have teamed up today with HHUSA to bring you this VetNet webinar on Jumpstarting Your 2021 Employment Search. Moderating our session today is Amy Coombs. Amy has been with Hire Heroes USA for over 3 years. She serves as employer engagement specialist with focus on connecting on-work opportunity OTO students with the partner employers of the OTO programs for interview opportunities. She's certified military and veteran recruiter through AIRS and is military spouse, active duty Army soldier. And before we get started, I just want to know that this session will be recorded, and all those who have registered for this session will receive a recorded link, and that link will include a short survey. So please do take a survey. Let us know how we did. What else would you like to see us during these webinars? With that being said, I would like to pass it over to Amy to introduce herself and our panelists. Amy, welcome.
Thank you, Elvis. Well, welcome everyone. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited about this panel today. We have a great lineup of panelists, so I'm excited to dive in and get to know their perspectives a little bit more, and hopefully you can all find something helpful out of that. So as Elvis was saying, I'm a military spouse. My husband's in the Army. I have been working at Hire Heroes USA for about 3.5 years, about the same time I've been a military spouse. So I've learned a lot in that time. It's been really great. And my team basically works behind the scenes helping to connect our Hire Heroes USA clients with opportunities from our partnered employers, 2 of whom are here today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our first panelist. So Nathan, I'll open it up to you, and you can go ahead and give us a little intro.
Thank you so much, Amy. Hey, very nice to meet everybody. My name is Nathan Wilson with Altimeter Solutions, Marine Corps veteran myself. So when, I can say, some people say I've been there, done that. I have. So I totally understand where a lot of people are coming from. Now I'm in the staffing industry. So I work with employers on the commercial side, the defense industry, and I get to see firsthand the other side of the perspective. There's always those questions as a candidate or someone who's job searching, why wasn't I looked at? Why didn't I get an interview? I'm perfect for the job, all these kind of things. And there's a lot more that goes into it from the corporate side of it, from the manager's perspective and the recruiting perspective. So it's something I've enjoyed doing, being in the staffing industry, getting to work with different companies, everyone from different backgrounds. And so it's definitely been beneficial when I'm working with veterans and talking with veterans about their job search and some of the best ways they can go about doing it. So I definitely look forward to working with all of you through this panel. I'm answering any questions that you have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nathan. And I work personally with Nathan to help source our O2O candidates. So it's been a great relationship for a couple of years. So thank you so much for all that you do. Next up, we've got Taylor from Brooksource. So I will let her go ahead.
Everyone, I'm Taylor. I'm a technical recruiter with BrookSource. I've been with the company since July of 2020. So BrookSource, we're a IT staffing firm. So we're actually headquartered in Indianapolis and have 27 markets nationwide. I'm based out of the Atlanta market, and I actually have the pleasure of working as our workforce transformation coordinator. And underneath that program, we have our Project Patriot program, and that's our opportunity to both meet with veterans, understand where your hardships are in the interviewing and the job searching process, meet you where you are, help aid you with any advice or resume tips, interview prep, and just really connect you throughout that process with our clients who we've also worked with on our account side just to understand some of their workforce gaps, some of their challenges in the hiring programs and the hiring process, and really partnering with them as well to help build out some of their internal veteran programs, taking some of the feedback that we've heard from you guys as candidates and bringing that back to them so that we can create these effective training programs and within those companies. So yeah, I've had the pleasure of doing that. So I'm excited to get to know some of you guys and kind of take it from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor. We've also worked with BrookSource for many years now, and it's been a great partnership. So thank you for everything you guys do. So last but not least, we've got Kelly Kelly. She is not an employer, but she's one of our, she was a former transition specialist at Hire Heroes USA, and now she is the program manager for our Serving Spouses program. So Kelly, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, thanks Amy. Yeah, so my name's Kelly Kelly. I'm married to Kelly. That's how I got this ridiculous name. But yeah, so I am the Serving Spouses Program Manager at Hire Heroes USA. I've been with Hire Heroes for over 4 years now. And as Amy mentioned, I started as a transition specialist. So as a career counselor, working with veterans and military spouses to help them find meaningful employment. Through my tenure at Hire Heroes, I've helped over 1,000 veterans and military spouses find meaningful employment. And I actually was a Hire Heroes USA client prior to joining the Hire Heroes USA team 4 years ago. And as an active duty spouse, hopefully I could share some tips and tools regarding employment searches for military spouses as well as veterans. But I was unemployed for over 6 months, and Hire Heroes was in my corner helping me along the way, providing me the best tools and tips. You don't know what you don't know. So hopefully I could provide those tips and tools for you guys today, which will enable you to, have a more successful job search. So thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you all so much. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the questions now. So we're going to start off with a few pre-prepared questions, and then once we're done with all of those, we can get into any questions that you all have put into the chat box. So starting out, our first question, basically, obviously, everyone knows COVID has been a really crazy time for everyone, and that includes employers and job seekers. So our first question is, in today's resource-constrained environment, where does your company stand with hiring in 2021? And we can go ahead and start with Nathan on this one.
Yeah, and hopefully I can bring some insight from different perspectives. So we've worked with commercial companies as well as the defense industry. And so we can all agree that 2020 has been a very difficult year, right? Something totally new for us, for companies. And we've seen a huge decline in hiring. It is what it is. It definitely happened over the summertime. Things have gotten better. The commercial industry took a big hit, more risk adverse, where the defense industry has continued to gain projects, government projects and programs and contracts. So they continue to hire, but not really at a growth. I would say probably more at a flat rate. But on the commercial side, there was definitely a big decline. And then what has happened is where we had it at one time where there was more jobs than there were candidates. Now we're looking at a lot of individuals looking for jobs, having more competition for the few openings that are at. These companies are being more risk adverse. If they don't have to hire somebody, they're not going to. Besides, I work with some great companies that didn't do layoffs, but they did put a big hold on hiring new people, right? So these are things that we're still continuing to see in different business segments, different types of roles, different types of positions. And so it's definitely been detrimental to those who are, searching for new jobs and job seekers. Going into 2021, though, from some of the research that's been done, some of the contacts that I have and spoken with at the executive level, a lot of these companies, because they had that halt on hiring, they are in hopes that towards the summer, they're going to be able to make up for that. So we're hoping to see a lot more hiring going on the commercial side, and then continued steady increase and incline on the defense side.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that perspective, Nate. And that gives us some hope too that things are hopefully going to pick up a little bit in a few months here. So we'll go ahead and move on to Taylor. How would you say your company is doing with hiring in 2021?
Yeah, so a little bit of insight. So I'm sitting out of here in Atlanta. And so our Atlanta office, kind of similar to Nathan, we saw a pretty heavy decrease in freeze in hiring in that July, August timeframe. And since that point, we've seen a steady uptick in hiring. We actually had 13 contractors start so far this year in 2021. So that's a pretty significant number within the first 2 weeks of the year. So we're hoping that that trend will just continue to increase as we go throughout, as companies start their new quarters and, hiring picks up again. We are expecting that to just increase and grow. Some insight into those 13 positions. Those roles were very specific to the security field, business intelligence space, as well as the cloud and development space as well. Those were our 4 big growth areas. So it kind of goes along with what Nathan may have been seeing and a little bit with the defense space. Security just remains an important area that has been kind of sheltered a little bit by the effects of COVID and the market there. So, as things continue and progress, we do hope that that number will just continue to increase in this new year. And we definitely have a new hope as we go along.
So much, Taylor. I would definitely second those positions. I'm seeing a lot of those from different employers, so definitely agree with you there. Kelly, I know you're not an employer, but are there any trends or outlooks that you're seeing for 2021 with regards to hiring?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to just not stop job seeking. As Nathan mentioned, we have all experienced what COVID has done to employment and how some companies have slowed down hiring, but then on the flip side, some other companies have picked up hiring, such as Amazon and different industries like that. So definitely don't stop, applying. Don't let it discourage you. And one thing that, if anything, that came out good from the coronavirus is that a lot of companies are moving towards remote employment. So you can find a lot more remote jobs out there. And this is particularly good for military spouses, as we know that, military spouses fit in really well with remote jobs. It enables you to kind of move with your service member. So if that is one trend that we've been seeing, is a lot more jobs are going remotely. So just make sure that you're searching for, remote jobs if you're interested in going that realm. Sometimes it's difficult to find remote work. Just be careful about scams out there. We have seen that there's some scams and they're usually targeting military spouses and veterans. So just do your research on companies prior to applying. But yeah, other than that, that's a positive trend, is the remote work environment, and just don't stop applying.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. And that was actually a great segue into our next question. So essentially, how would you all recommend that veterans or service members or their families could successfully prepare and conduct job searches during this time? Oh, and you can go in whatever order you want. Feel free to chime in.
If we want to keep the same order. So I'm going to go kind of broad with this. Really knowing your resources and then how to use them. So it's great signing up for a service or being part of an organization, creating a LinkedIn profile, but that's just step one, and it's not going to take you anywhere, right? So there are what I would say tools that like you could easily find yourself, but if you connect with an organization like Hire Heroes USA, they're going to provide you more tools. So they're just one tool that will link you to the other tools and teach you how to use those tools. And there's other organizations or tools like that. LinkedIn does training. I get all the random emails that I don't want about how to utilize LinkedIn to my advantage. But for someone who's job searching, this is great because LinkedIn it's a system, it's a software program. And if you don't understand how that program works, then you're not going to be using it as effectively as you could be, and you're not going to be getting the outcome that you want. So I would definitely, a broad perspective, look at it as know what resources are available, and then how to use those resources.
Yeah, and kind of going off of that, take some time to look at the companies that you're interested in applying to on LinkedIn. Spend some time looking at the types of organizations within that company. If one really stands out to you, look at the individuals that are currently in those jobs. What types of roles are on those teams? If one really shines out to you, feel free to connect with that person, send them a message, tell them a little bit about yourself, what you're looking for, and just ask them to connect. People want to help each other, especially in this type of market, in this type of environment. So just connect with as many people as possible. This not only helps you figure out, your career path, but it also kind of lays out what's out there and what's in the different areas of even these companies that are even hiring right now. So there might be a specific group within a company that's hiring more prevalently than another. So just connect with people, reach out to people, and kind of outside of that, join different groups within LinkedIn as well. There are so many out there that you're able to join. And that's a great way as you're applying to these jobs and waiting to hear back and going through these long processes for you to stay up to date with, whatever technology or whatever tool that you're using as well. So join those user groups and just connect, and don't be afraid to reach out to recruiters. We're all there to help you, and we each bring a different tool and trick to you as an individual and as a candidate looking for a role.
Yeah, and I think I'll add to that. One important thing is to kind of narrow down what you want to do first. So if you are just throwing a large net out there, you're going to be not as successful as if you streamline your job search and really understand what you want to do. So if you're a veteran, kind of figure out, what jobs align with your skill set. There's lots of tests out there that you could take. Just Google, self-assessment tests to kind of figure out the career fields that you want to join. And then do your research on it. Because once you have a clear understanding of what you want to do and the types of roles that you'll fit, good in, then you could reach out, as Taylor mentioned, to people on LinkedIn in those similar roles. Versus if you are just all confused and applying to a million different jobs in different industries and different job titles, it's really going to hinder your search. Once you kind of have a streamlined view of what you want to do, I promise you, your job search will become much easier. So Hire Heroes USA, we can help with that. We have career counselors on staff, and we have industry-specific career counselors that if you want to just set up a time with them, pick their brain, ask them questions about the industry or the type of job, we could do that and help you with that. As Nathan mentioned, make sure to utilize all the resources out there that can help you.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. That was really helpful. But we'll go ahead and move on to our next question here. Obviously business environments can change pretty rapidly and unexpectedly. So why hire veterans or military spouses? What is the advantage, and what are some benefits that you all have seen from employers hiring military community?
All right, I guess I'll start it off again. So for myself, and speaking directly with hiring managers, especially within the defense industry, they love hiring military spouses of military, family and friends of military. And it's not because they're from the defense industry. It's more of there's already an assumption of work ethic, trust. It's already handed to them when they walk in the door, which advances that individual much quicker, and opens up some doors for them, opens up some opportunities, but also allows the manager to I guess, hand more stuff off and feel like the team is being, able to develop themselves or do the job on their own, right? Without hand holding and stuff like that, which is, a manager hates micromanaging, even if they do it, they don't like to do it. And then from the hiring perspective, and what I've always kind of pushed with those that I work with, the managers that I work with, are, those individuals that you're hiring have fellow veterans that they know who have a similar experience or similar background that could very well be a great fit for your team as well. So there's a lot of referral opportunity. If you have someone, like one of the positions that I fill is a RF technician, right? And they hire a lot of people who are doing a very similar role in the Air Force. So once I was working with somebody, put them over on that team, they quickly turned around and said, hey, do you know anybody else like this? So we were able to get a referral from that person, from someone else that was in their platoon, and then submit them over as well for the job. And it just kind of grew and built off of that. And I think there's like 5 people there who came from that same platoon that the original person was from. So, having that camaraderie in relationships, which relationships are key in anything that you're doing within your job search, this has definitely been something that became an interest to the hiring managers, and they started seeing how valuable it is from that perspective as well when hiring a veteran.
Yeah, and going off of that, we definitely saw the work ethic to be of great value to our hiring managers as well. We work with a variety of Fortune 500 companies, and those are very fast-paced environment. And so, coming from your background and high pressure situations, it's very appealing to these hiring managers. There's that level of trust, like Nathan said, that they know that they're going to bring you in, and you have that discipline, and you know how to meet deadlines and work, as a team and independently. You figured out that balance and how to navigate that already, so they know that they're not going to have to spend 2 weeks training and getting you introduced to their work environment. You are going to come in and blend right in and, provide a new perspective and even encourage those around you to embrace new work ethics and, work at that faster pace and that stronger pace and bringing your just best to that team. And so, yeah, that's definitely what we're seeing in our conversations from hiring managers for previous veterans we've placed on their teams as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's much more I could add. Veterans really have a accelerated learning curve. They pick up things more quickly, as Taylor mentioned, and they're ready to just jump right into the job. They bring great leadership skills as well as team working abilities. For military spouses as well, they're a lot more civically engaged than the civilian counterpart. So military spouses are constantly volunteering and just, getting out into the community, which that brings a lot of skills to an employer as well. And then also military spouses are actually more highly educated than a civilian as well. So, there's a lot of things working in a military spouse's favor when it comes to, employment searching, that once an employer kind of recognizes that, I see a lot of, once one military spouse is hired and they recognize that, then they kind of see a trend and more military spouses are being hired, just because military spouses are so resilient and we deal with a lot of stress. So we're good with stress management. So all those qualities really make up a good employee.
That's great. Thank you all so much. And, you know, I'm glad that Hire Heroes took a chance on me as a military spouse. And I definitely love working hard. So I know there's so many people out there like me as well. So thank you all for sharing those perspectives. So, you know, we've talked about the positives of hiring veterans. What are some of the challenges that you all have observed with hiring, you know, transitioning military or spouses when they're joining the civilian sector? And what advice would you give them to help overcome those issues?
All right, Amy. So I had to take a couple of notes on this, and then I had to like bring those notes down to a couple things here. So there's two main things that I've seen. You know, it can be summed up as one being managing their own expectations. You know, what they're going to expect going into the civilian workforce. I'm sure this is the same for veterans and spouses. You know, I've seen a lot of the time spouses coming from taking time off, you know, a gap, a lot of travel going on and stuff. It's hard. They don't want to. That's why Kelly mentioned, you know, the remote opportunities being great because, you know, they don't want to jump into a position knowing that they're going to be leaving in 6 months or a year. So managing their expectations, I'd go with two things here. One's with the actual day-to-day of the job, what they're getting themselves into. They expect a lot more out of their team. They're expecting a lot more out of their managers. And sometimes on the civilian side, it's just not the same. You know, you're not working with fellow veterans all the time. Not even in the defense industry, we're not seeing that. So I get a lot of complaints like, hey, you know, like these people I'm working with, they're not as strong as I expected them to be, or, you know, not as dedicated as I am. I'm like, well, you know, that's something you got to expect. So that's something I try to myself talk with people before they get into the position, make sure that they're aware of that kind of stuff. But it's good for you as the veteran or a veteran spouse because it lets you have the opportunity to shine, right? The one other thing is the pay. Depending on what position, or not what position, but what rank you came out, coming out of the military, and what your billet was, what your, you know, MOS was, what your job was, and then what you're looking to do, they don't always line up. I came out, I was in motor transportation, I was a truck driver. I came out, I wasn't going to be a truck driver. And so pretty much I had to start all over again when it came to compensation. And I speak to a lot of people that are coming out and they expect to get paid the same amount for a job that the company's paying other people half the salary. So it's something that, you know, you're not aware of. I think Kelly earlier said, you don't know what you don't know. And, you know, it's only going to be through talking with people and asking questions, you know, going through organizations where you can obtain the information to know if you're lining yourself up correctly, and you have a good understanding of what you're going to get yourself into on that side of things too.
Yeah, and kind of going off that, I'd love to speak a little bit more to veteran spouses as well. Nathan, you mentioned this briefly, but as a veteran spouse, you've most likely moved around a lot. You might have, there's that problem of longevity. A lot of employers, especially the ones that, you know, we're working with and speak with on a daily basis, they do look for that longevity in previous roles. So be prepared for that question to come up early on in an interview to explain that situation. And even maybe jumping the gun on that one and including the summary as to the reasons behind that on your resume or in a cover letter, just saying it off the front, especially when you're sending in your application, including that in your cover letter so that a recruiter can go ahead and see and understand, you know, this person's not just jumping around because they can't figure out what they want to do or what their passion is. They're jumping around for a very noble reason. So be transparent with that off the bat and make sure that you're prepared to respond to that. Something that we often see for veterans is just transitioning that military terminology to civilian terminology. Hiring managers aren't going to be able to relate most likely to what you've gone through in the past, especially as it relates to, you know, in being a veteran in the military. They don't understand the terminology or even some of the work that you may have been doing. So practicing explaining that to a non-veteran, non-military individual, and making sure that the terms you're using in your resume or even just in your explanations and in your examples, that your hiring manager is going to be able to understand and see how that applies to a civilian workforce job. And then kind of going off of that too is we often see individuals losing confidence, especially within the workforce market, how it is now, losing confidence quickly, and it's taking months, to go through interview processes and being patient with that process. So reach out for help throughout that entire process, reaching out for help as early and as often as you can, just to have another layer of support as you're going through the hiring process, as you're getting acclimated maybe to your new role. Reach out to those around you and make sure that you ask about the veteran programs that are within your employers. Make sure you get plugged into those quickly, and just to build up that support and mentorship just around you as well.
So I totally agree. You guys are tough to follow. Those are all great answers, and I totally agree with each and every one of them. I know Nathan mentioned the expectations of veterans. So oftentimes I'll see maybe veterans whose expectations are a little bit too high based on the civilian sector. As Nathan mentioned, make sure you're doing your research on pay. Coming out of the military, you might not be making the same in the private sector. So make sure you do your research so you're not coming into, an interview asking for a large sum of money that the company will definitely not be able to kind of match. So everything really comes down to researching the type of industry and career fields that you want. And then on the flip side of that, military spouses oftentimes sell themselves short. So essentially they are accepting positions that they're underqualified for. So they're continuing in this period of underemployment when they have all these skills and they could be getting more higher paid positions. So definitely on the flip side of that, military spouses, try not to sell yourself short, recognize the skills and abilities that you can bring to an organization. And like I said, it all comes down to research and knowing and having that clear path, a plan of what type of jobs you're applying for and the industries that's really going to help you.
Thank you so much, Kelly, and all of you. That's been very helpful. We'll get a little bit more practical here. So what would you all say are best practices for someone who's maybe never job searched before because they haven't had to, or maybe a military spouse who has been out of the workforce for quite a while? What are some of the tools and skills that you would say are the most helpful in that search? And let's go ahead and start with Kelly and go reverse order this time.
Sounds good. Yeah. So first of all, start early. You don't want to be starting your job search right when you transition out of the military. I keep talking about having a plan, and that plan really starts, you should be preparing when you're a good 6 months to a year out. And then really start networking. So that's number one. Networking is really going to help you accelerate your job search. It really is all about who you know. So even your family, your friends, let them know that you're job seeking, network with them. LinkedIn, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, highly recommend you sign up for one now. LinkedIn is the best way to network. And if you're not an extrovert, the good thing about LinkedIn is you can network behind your computer screen. And enables you to meet people in your industry, your target industry. And then one thing that I think a lot of veterans and military spouses really get worried about is their resume. So prepare that resume, get that, so you're comfortable with the resume that you're sending out. The resume is not going to be the end all be all. As I mentioned, it's not just if you're just sending out resumes, that's not going to really do you any good in today's job search. You must network, you must do other things, but having a strong resume is really going to help you. And Hire Heroes USA can help you translate your, military skills into a resume that civilian employers will understand. And then kind of the last bit I have is a job search is a full-time job in itself. So it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take, a lot of patience. It is frustrating, but just don't give up. An employer definitely is going to recognize the skill sets that you bring to the table. It just may take some time. So that's why preparing in advance helps with that. And then one last point is make sure you tailor your resume. I think I saw in the chat a question about applicant tracking systems, and I'm sure Nathan and Taylor could talk more about how their organizations use this, but a lot of companies use these applicant tracking systems. So essentially your resume is going through a computer system first, and the computer system is ranking resumes based on, how they apply to the job description. So you want to make sure that you're tailoring your resume specifically around the position. Now, it is annoying. I'm not going to lie, it takes time, but is extremely necessary. And you'll start noticing that once you start tailoring your resume, then you'll be getting a lot more callbacks versus just, making it rain with resumes and sending it out to a million different companies. That's not going to yield a lot of results.
Yeah, those are great tips, Kelly. And a lot of the things that we suggest on this side as coming from the recruiter perspective, and definitely make sure that your LinkedIn is up to date. I spend a lot of my day just on LinkedIn and reaching out to people through LinkedIn. So that's such a great resource. Spend a half a day just making sure that all of it's relevant, that you have a strong bio at the top of that. So a recruiter or a hiring manager is able to immediately go and say, oh, this individual is really interested in becoming a data analyst. He or she has X skills. And so they're able to, one, see your skills, two, see your interests, and start to understand who you are and where you're coming from as well. Kind of going off of the resume, definitely important to tailor those resumes and those cover letters. Use that cover letter to explain some of your previous situation and where you're coming from. So that they're able to immediately, have some general understanding going into, a first phone call conversation as well. And then kind of outside of that, if you're, in a technology field or something like that, we in our hiring managers do look for a portfolio or a website where they can go and pull up, the website includes, a quick bio, your career interests, some of the technologies maybe you're proficient in, what you're looking for in your job, and then project examples as well. It's definitely worth spending some time making a steady place where a hiring manager can go and immediately pull this up. We definitely recommend on this side of things, it's better to have, 2 or 3 really strong projects that these hiring managers can quickly pull up than to have 10 listed on that page that are, incomplete or simple. So take some time. I know job searching is definitely a full-time job, but take a break from that job searching and work on those personal projects as they relate to your career goals. So maybe that's, just spending some time researching a specific technology or tool or industry you want to get into, and building out your own personal project on that and exploring that. Hiring managers will really see your passion and your interest, and oftentimes take that passion and that dedication a lot further than even just that technical skill that might be there, because technical skills can always be trained as well. So that's our recommendation. And then again, I said this previously, but reach out to those individuals who are in roles you want to be in. Ask how they got there, what their process looked like. Maybe some of the skills that they have that you might not have, just so you can start to explore and research those on your own and take them on your own. So don't be afraid to reach out to anyone as well.
Cool. And I'll piggyback off Taylor. She mentioned LinkedIn. again, and Kelly mentioned how important it is, a vital resource. So one thing I would recommend is, and I saw this in the chat, so I saw somebody ask a question about titles and how they should put the title on their resume versus what the title is of the job and stuff like that. To me, seeing so many jobs, and I'm sure Taylor can advocate for this, they're synonymous. There's 5 different companies who are doing the same job at each company, but they all call it something completely different. So while I don't want anyone to lie on their resume, but you could definitely gear that resume towards the position that you want. If you know that the company that you're applying to calls it, I don't know, network controls engineer, right? And it's the same exact job that you've been doing, add that into it. On your LinkedIn, you can add network controls engineer to your profile as that being your title. Anything that's very relatable. Some companies will call a position just like engineer level 3, and that could be 1,000 different engineering positions. So you can't. It's not going to be very beneficial to leave that on your resume, leave that on your LinkedIn profile, just because there are some managers, some recruiters, and some systems that will just knock people out based on titles. So that's something just to think about when building your LinkedIn profile, or kind of gearing it towards what you're wanting to get, what position you want to get, as well as your resume.
Thank you so much. These were some really helpful tools, and I hope everyone found some things that will be helpful in their individual job searches here. So I think in the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and move into the chat questions. We'll go through some of those, and then if we have time at the end, we can go back to some of the prepared questions. But question 1 from the chat is basically, for USA jobs, I was taught to search in my state, and that will bring up all opportunities which may fit my skill set. Does your team have a similar job search tool? So feel free to jump in as you feel led.
So I'll jump in real quick. I'm not really familiar with USA Jobs. I mean, I am, because I've been in that industry, but I've never worked with anyone on using their sourcing tool or their search. And for ours, it's just a basic search for jobs on our website or on our LinkedIn page. So we try to keep it simple because it can be difficult, and the positions that we support on the defense side sometimes are directly through us as a subcontractor on a government contract, and sometimes they're with one of our clients who is working on a government contract.
Amy, if you want me to add, I think they're asking about like search engines on this in general. But essentially every search engine, whether it's USA Jobs or Indeed and LinkedIn, it's gonna be the same. You want to start of the location where you're job seeking. If you're looking for remote work, type in remote, or different words that it could be categorized under, such as telecommuting or work from home. But essentially every job search engine is going to work the same, and usually it will redirect you to the company's website to apply. So whether it's Indeed or LinkedIn, it will give you the opportunity to click on it, read it, and then if you want to apply, you'll have to go to the company's website and apply through there. And that's really where you're entering the company's applicant tracking system.
Thank you, Kelly. I think that was getting at what the question was asking. If it didn't answer your question, feel free to comment below too. We'll go ahead and go to question 2. So this is specifically about resumes. What are your top 3 pet peeves, or what do you hate to see in a resume? So I guess this would be targeted at Nathan and Taylor, but Kelly, feel free to weigh in too.
I love a simple resume. It's not really worth spending a lot of time making fancy ones with a lot of emojis and color and things of that nature. When we're looking through a resume, we want to see, where your education, your background when it comes to that, any certificates that you might have related to that. We want to see your relevant experience, and we'll look for your skill set. And Calibri font 11 is great. I love just a simple black font, something that I can skim pretty quickly, to the point, concise, add, relevant information as well. So any specific stats or anything that you specifically accomplish related to a goal or a task is great to see, and really tailor it to your experience as well. And like we said previously, especially when applying on LinkedIn, make sure you do, scroll through and have some of those keywords. Don't be afraid to play around with some of your titles. Obviously don't lie, because you will have to speak to everything on your resume, but, including things related to that terminology, as well, doing a quick, synonym search for different titles that might be relevant or related to your current title. As well. But simple is always better when it comes to the resume. Nathan, I'm curious to see your thoughts as well.
100% agree. And for multiple reasons, one thing that bugs me the most is seeing veterans who paid a service hundreds of dollars to get the worst resume ever. And when I say the worst resume, I just mean it's got their picture on it. Don't put your picture on it. For so many reasons, I'll put your picture on it. The formatting, there doesn't have to be special formatting. There doesn't have to be things on the side, and doesn't have to be in HTML or anything fancy coding. Like Taylor said, just very simple, one font. Maybe your name is in a different font. A couple things could be bolded, but that's about it. And then the other reasoning is that those applicant tracking systems aren't always going to pick that stuff up. And then your resume, unfortunately, will get shifted to the bottom. It missed the keywords, it missed your titles, it missed all this stuff because of the formatting that it was saved in. So definitely agree with Taylor on this one. Just keep it simple, and it'll go much farther that way.
Amy, I'll just add really quick. As a certified professional resume writer, you guys are right on the money on that one. I see a lot of veterans and military spouses try to get fancy with their resume. Even though it may look nice, there could cause issues in the applicant tracking system because of, your font that you're using or tables. So simplicity is key. And also, this is more speaks to the veteran side of things. Keep it short, but necessarily it doesn't have to be only one page. That's essentially a thing of the past, is the myth of the one-page resume that you have to condense everything into one page. 2 pages is completely fine if you have the experience to fill 2 pages. You do not want to go over 2 pages for a private sector resume. Now, for a federal resume, you can, those are going to be a little bit longer and it can exceed the 2-page mark. But essentially for a private sector resume, you're not going to want to go past the 2-page mark, because recruiters are only spending a couple minutes or seconds even looking at your resume. So yeah, I think that I see that a lot with veterans, is they have like a 17-page resume. No one's going to read that. So definitely try to condense it down to 2 pages and put, as Taylor mentioned, your biggest accomplishments in there. Not just, stating what the job is, because anybody could Google, what that job is in the military. We really want to see what you accomplished in the military.
Thank you, Kelly. So you all actually just talked about the applicant tracking system. So that's our next question in the chat. Do any of you have anything to add? This person asks, any tips or tricks about the applicant tracking system? Veterans have a broad range of experiences to hone down to a successful look through that system to get through that next step in hiring. So anything else to add on specifically the ATS systems?
Amy, I could start. Just what I like to do is print off the job description, and with a highlighter, just highlight those keywords and plug them into your resume. Once you get the hang of tailoring your resume, it's not going to take you that long. And Ashley, she could put in the chat a site that I like to use, jobscan.co. Essentially, it's a good little tool to use. You copy and paste the job description, and then you copy and paste your resume, and it'll tell you what words you should include in your resume and plug into your resume. So there's different tools like that that will help you in the tailoring process. And as I mentioned before, yes, it is annoying to do this to every job that you're applying for, but it's absolutely necessary to get through these systems, you know, and then get callbacks from humans.
Thank you, Kelly.
I'll add on real quick.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, don't count on the applicant tracking system. So, you know, once you apply, utilize your resources. We talked about LinkedIn and stuff. Taylor mentioned reaching out directly to individuals who work there. There's absolutely no reason you can't reach out directly to the recruiter. You can figure out who's recruiting on those jobs, who the manager might be based on the location of that individual and the location of the job, the type of work being done. Reach out to them, let them know that you applied directly to the position. That manager will go to their to the recruiter who's working on it, the talent acquisition team, and say, hey, so-and-so had applied. I would like to see the resume. And definitely will be beneficial to not count on the applicant tracking system to do the job for you.
That's a great point too, Nate. Thank you. And that's how it kind of works when I send over resumes to our partnered employers. You know, they're not going through the applicant tracking system. That's one of the benefits of being part of O2O and, you know, our partnership with our partnered employers is that you can kind of go around that process too. So thank you for adding that, Nate. So I think we've already kind of talked about this next question, but with regards to specifically defense contractor work, how locked into a specific title should someone be? For instance, a data engineer versus just getting on a team that handles data, but maybe coming in with a different title based on prior cleared work.
That was the question that I was referring to earlier. And because they're just so synonymous, you can use, typically when it's that close, use the same title on your resume. When you're talking to them, you know, a lot of these people, it's a small knit group within the defense industry. And they know what other companies are calling those positions. They've worked there, they've hired people from there. So it's not going to be that crazy that somebody sees you working at Raytheon with one title and then working at Lockheed Martin with another title, doing the same work or making it the same title. They're not going to question it.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I think we'll go ahead and move on to our next question then. So this is regarding AI recruiting, and I think really just, you know, virtual interviews and that kind of thing as well. Since a lot of companies are using AI tech assessments, like video interviewing, auto phone answering, that kind of thing, especially during COVID. Do any of you have advice on preparation for those kind of virtual evaluation tools?
I think my advice is to just prepare in advance. So figure out if you have a virtual interview coming up, a video interview, figure out, usually they'll send you, you know, the information of what platform they're using. So make sure, you know, there's so many things that you could just learn on the internet today. So just do a search and kind of learn how that platform works. And then, you know, do a test run if you can, check your connectivity. Make sure you're in a quiet place with a, you know, plain background. All that stuff really matters, the small details of it, but just kind of do your research and about the different platforms that they'll be using to conduct the interview and check your connectivity.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. Our next question here has to do with tailoring your resume when, you know, you might be overly qualified for a position. Maybe that was something that happened before the pandemic. Maybe you have a, you know, a gap in employment because of the pandemic, something like that. So what is your feedback on positions posted that are currently available that close with no reason, even though applications are submitted? So I think this person is wondering if they were overqualified for the role, but yeah, what would you say, when there's no reason for the position closing, but they don't get any notification?
I think I could speak on this one, guys. I think just realize that there's a lot of people job searching, and some companies are better than others with, letting you know why you weren't selected for the position. You might get an email, and sometimes, unfortunately, I've heard of this happened to me myself. I've actually gone on interviews and never heard anything back, even though, that's not best practice. Sometimes the HR departments are overwhelmed, especially with so many people applying for positions. So as a job seeker, I would just, don't take it to heart. Just keep moving on. Keep job searching, even if you are, denied a role or you don't hear something about it. Don't put all your eggs in one basket on that one position. Keep applying for multiple roles. But yeah, some companies are better than others. And even if you did, interview for a position and they let you know that you weren't selected, feel free to always ask for feedback. That is something that a lot of people don't realize you could do, but definitely I would always suggest, if you weren't selected for a role and they let you know that, ask for feedback. That way you can improve yourself, and maybe it was something you did in the interview, maybe it was a qualification that you don't have. So just knowing why you weren't selected for the position can help you better prepare for your next interview.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I think we're running out of time here, so I'll just give all of you a quick opportunity. If you have any last advice to share with our audience here, go ahead and do that now.
I will go first.
Oh, there we go, Kelly.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say, I think Nathan mentioned this before. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And I know Taylor mentioned this too. People want to help other people. So especially in the veteran and military spouse community, we're kind of all tight knit. So, don't be afraid to ask for help and search for different resources. I work for Hire Heroes USA. We're here to help you along in your employment search. So, sign up for us. But then also there are a number of different resources out there that might benefit you in your particular, job search and industry. So don't be afraid to ask for help and network and reach out to different individuals who could possibly help you along.
Yep, I had the same track as well. I would throw out there quality versus quantity. Make sure that you're making a handful of really good relationships instead of just reaching out to a ton of people and never really building upon that relationship, as well as any networking groups that you become part of. There's great veteran networking groups that are built towards job searching, as well as organizations, 501c3s that support veterans and spouses like Hire Heroes USA, and then also working directly with individuals at companies or their veteran groups that they have at those companies. You can't hit up everyone. Kelly mentioned looking for a job is a job in itself. There's not enough time. So find the ones that are most valuable to you, relate to your interest, what your goals are, and then just focus on developing those relationships there.
Nathan, Kelly, and Taylor, thank you all guys for your time today and great insights. Amy, thank you for great moderating of this session. Looks like we're out of time. I just want to let everybody know that this session was recorded, and we will send you all recorded links to this session along with our upcoming alumni virtual event that we will be discussing certifications that O2O program offers for you guys, and how those certifications are being utilized from our alumni perspectives as well, and what careers in the industry they have taken it. Please take time to take a survey. Let us know what else would you like to see from us during these webinars, and stay safe and healthy. And we'll see you next time. Thank you all very much.